How's it going, everybody? It's me, Shane, and I'm here to give you another Moon Knight episode review and recap. Today's episode is episode 4, The Tomb. And I've got to tell you, I think that meaning is probably, I think that the title is a double entendre. It's quite interesting what happens in this episode. And you know what? Before we get wrapped up into what's going on next, get it? Mummy joke? That is very apt as well. Please do not forget to like the video. It shows other people the video and it sends it out there. Comment what you thought of the episode or what you think of the video right now. And subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to 200 subscribers. And after that, we are going to go beyond. But also, if you are subscribed, don't forget to hit the notification bell that's right there. And share the video so others can see what a great time we are having. By God, I don't even know what to say about this episode. Going into it, very interesting stuff. I like that the tension never ceased. I do have some complaints about Steven and about Layla. Ooh, yeah. It was they had a chance of doing something in here that just, they kind of messed up. And Mark comes out looking like roses in this entire thing. Like, if you looked at Mark and you thought in episode 2 he was a jerk, or episode 3 he's a jerk, nah, Mark's a good guy, and he has a deep survivor's guilt. It is very obvious what he has. So, where do I even start? What happened? What happens in here is our team of Steven with a V and Layla, they make it to the burial place of the tomb of Ammut. Not only is Harrow Group already in there, we have signs that there's been a lot of crap going on. There's blood on the outside. They get inside. There's blood everywhere. If you know anything about ancient Egyptians, they have these jars. Pardon me. And for the mummification process, typically they take all of the organs out. They scrape out the brains. And they open you up. They put them all in a jar. And then they wrap you up, and there you have it. A lot of fresh blood around. There's gunfire everywhere. Steven shows signs of a workshop where someone's trying to do regeneration processes with snakeskin. And due to Layla having a little bit more knowledge, because it's really weird. Steven doesn't understand the term belay, and he didn't understand what a Heka priest was. And a Heka priests are the guards that are buried with the pharaohs. They're there to protect, and apparently there are bodies lined across this wall of people who are trying to do tomb raiding. And we come, and the creatures in here, they click. They sound like the clickers from, I guess you can say, Last of Us. The first Last of Us game. I never played that game all the way through. Yeah, sacrilege, whatever, shut up. But they sound like clickers. They click all the time, just all that stuff. We do get to see the white cop, the white British cop that was with the black British cop that worked for Arthur Harrow. He dies. Thank you for that. Oh. Now, we see Layla beat one of these things up. I'm gonna get to that in a moment. We see the tomb of Alexander the Great. Was he the second the Great? No, Alexander the Great, the Mesopotamia one. I really wish there was a person who I used to work with who would just brag about being Mesopotamian, like, oh, like Alexander the Great, he's our hero. And I'm like, and here, Steven's like, yeah, he considered himself Egyptian. Interesting. Don't know if that's real or not, but if that's real, I wish I could rub that in somebody's face and tell them to shut up. Anywho, apparently Alexander the Great was the last avatar of Ammut. He was the voice of Ammut. I like this. One of the things I have to give props to is just Steven knowing a lot of this stuff, and I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, it was spooky, scary time. And even the last part, oh my goodness, the ending of this episode is a mind bend. So, let's take it character by character. I'm going to talk about Steven first. Steven's whole deal of like, well, Mark told me when Khonshu was going on, this whole business was over, that I'd get the body. And even Layla's like, yeah, that's kind of interesting that he would have this conversation without me, given that I'm married with him. And even Mark's looking in the mirror like, you dumbass. Yeah. Did you think that was going to go the way you thought it would go? He does share a kiss with Layla. Steven does. Mark had already threatened him, though. He said, you touch my wife. You like my wife? You touch her, I'm going to throw you and me off a cliff. And after Steven kisses her, and she goes down to the tomb first, literally punches him in the face with their own fist and throws him down there. Good on your word. But Steven did do an interesting thing. He does the thing that I love. I love when characters do this. It's one of the reasons why I dislike early CW DC shows, because when the problem is as simple as telling the truth, or the solution to the problem is telling the truth, why the heck do you all not do it more? The whole Arrow thing with him being fake Batman, you could have told the truth. Steven goes, by the way, reason why Mark has been pushing you away is because Khonshu wants you as another avatar. That's what he has that idea. That's what he believes. And that's why he's been pushing you away. And then Layla goes this whole, I don't need protecting. I need him to trust me. Are you that thick, Layla, that you don't realize that trust and protection are technically the same thing? But I'm going to get to Layla in a second. And thanks to Steven, we get to the Ammut statue. The Ammut statue's in Alexander the Great's throat. Nasty. Had to break through that mummy stuff and everything. I don't know if Steven gave Mark control when Layla kept pressing him to answer the question about how her father died. And we get the switch. But at the end of this episode, it looks like Mark and Steven appreciate each other a little bit more, because they have a hug. Yes, they have a hug. Again, if you don't read this, the title of my videos, spoiler. So I don't know why you're here. Just watch it and come right back. Come right back. It's only 40. Actually, today's episode is 49 minutes. They use the whole time for this too. I applaud them. As the other Disney shows, they'd be like, yeah, 40 minutes. It's a 30-minute show, and the other 10 minutes are credits. No, they actually use their full time. So yeah, that was my issue with Steven. All the whining. But he's very, very useful. He talks about the Eye of Horus and how the chamber was made. The chamber was made with the Eye of Horus. Each line represents something. So, there's supposed to be 6 senses. This one up here is the mind. This one over here is, the touch with the eye. And the circle one is the tongue. And that's how they figured out that the last avatar of Ammut had to have been a pharaoh. Because who would come up with making this type of structure? Especially it was very weird on how they're trying to navigate around. Let's get to Layla. Layla knows her stuff. She definitely misses her father. She even does a little symbol for him when they first make it down. She's definitely has a thing for Steven, because she's like, the whole telling the truth thing, that's your gig, right? But she annoys me because she's like, well, Mark can't even summon the suit now, so he's not really useful. And I bet his whole thing is he wants to go ahead and just go about it on his own, which is true. And she's like, no. That was another reason I get annoyed with Steven, because when Mark tries to be nice and say, you're not alone in this. The reason why I'm telling you, let me take over, is because I've been in these situations before. And Steven's like, yeah, no, I'm not alone. It's me and Layla. It's just, I'm glad you got punched in the face. But Layla she was killing it for a while. I'm telling you, she did a great distraction for the Heka priest before it got to Steven, just threw it. Steven killed one by squishing it with a table, which is, those things aren't that durable. And they aren't that durable, because if you are been in a sarcophagus, or should I say a tomb, for centuries and centuries, your body starts falling apart. So it makes sense that how they've been repairing themselves. I like that little nod in there, because, there are those people that be like, I don't understand how these things could be around. It's a show about Egyptian gods and magic. Can we not nitpick? I would nitpick the characters, though. I digress, though. She fights one of these things, because she has to do a full-on Uncharted, press yourself against the wall. The part in the video games when you're on the thin ledge and it makes no sense when you're moving side to side like that. I'm wearing my Doctor Strange shirt, because this is some mystical shit. And she's just moving. And one comes from between the rocks. She dodges that, and it might be the same one. I thought she got. They pull into the darkness. She scrambles out, and it pulls her back in. She broke the thing's arm off, and is trying to jab her with the broken bone that was its right arm, just jabbing and jabbing. Pulls off the mask. This thing is nasty. She is Miss Flare Lady. Beats it with the flare. And you can see the acting is so good, and the characterization is good until she makes a stupid mistake. After she wins this fight, she's panting and she rolls over and she lets out a scream. She's like, "Rah!" Just a little bit better than that, but I don't want to scream that loud. But she just shakes, and I get it. Like, if you're in that type of situation where you were this close to dying or falling over a chasm, which almost seemed bottomless, but she threw a flare down there. But when you hurt the body fall down, that lets you know how far it was. Just all the stuff she's been going through. Dead dad, dead dad, she almost dead. All this crazy stuff with Marc and Steven. Ridiculous. Now, her fatal flaw is she listens to Arthur Harrow. She begins walking off, and he's like, "Oh, you handled that beautifully. Why do men like you always have to speak so condescendingly?" You know he's a condescending a-hole. Ethan Hawke studied dictators and cult leaders, and he also said Steve Jobs to understand the role of Arthur Harrow. Harrow. I don't know. But Mr. Harrow coaxes her to come back. He's like, the scales never lie. And I saw inside of Marc's soul. And he has great agony and sin and blah, 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 blah. And she's just like, go ahead. You have something on your mind, just tell me. So since he's not going to tell me, you want to tell me, go ahead. And he literally, this fool, tells her, this other fool, that Marc killed her dad. He's like, yeah, your dad was killed by a mercenary. And she's like, you trying to tell me Marc did it? He's like, you said it, not me. Why does everyone listen to this villain? The Egyptian gods are stupid. Layla's stupid. Nah, I'm gonna give you a little pass, Steven, because you hugged it out with Marc. But just dumb. And the opening to this episode, after the flashbacks, when they do the cinematography where the room is spinning, I don't know if this person's supposed to be Horus or Osiris, but the person who has the Khonshu statue walks it to this wall, and there's a little light in there, so he's gonna be in there. He gets a little light, but then they pan back, and there's tons of other statues. So that's where the freaking pantheon went. And you can hear before they cut away, you hear screams. You hear muffled screams. Maybe a muffled scream, but no, you hear muffled screams. Like, ooh. They're all. I put it like this: if Marc and Steven mess around and free everyone there, the gods that were left that imprisoned them, you are screwed. There's nothing like vengeful gods. I don't care if it's the god of pottery. God of pottery is probably going to come after you. Kind of weird that Ra wasn't one of the gods of the Ennead in this show, at least. Really interesting. Maybe they weren't allowed to use him. Maybe they thought that something bad would happen if they decide to do that. And people who are into kineticism and that religion of the Egyptian gods, maybe they were upset. Who knows? But I digress. After Steven finds the little crocodile statue of Ammut, he's like, "Hey, I found him. It's you and me." I stick my hand in there, and she goes, "Is he listening?" And we get some good jokes from Marc and Steven, because Steven's going, "Alexander the Great? I hope not." And she goes, "No, Marc." And she pushes him, and we get the fwink, and he's back. And she's like, "What happened to my dad?" Her father's name is Abdullah Fall. Abdullah Fall. I don't know how to spell that very well, and I'm probably not even going to try to spell it. But she's like, "Did you kill him?" And he's like, "Hell no." Well, what happened to him? And Marc is trying to tell her, we need to find a way to get out of here. Because Harrow, after he yells at her, "Wake up!" Oh, God, I hate this guy so much. Oh, you already know there's going to be a Moon Knight versus Evil Harrow battle at the end of this, with both of them in suits. You know it's going to happen. Anyway, his guys come up with guns. They were been shooting at the other Heka priests because the 6 of Heka priests were buried within this tomb. So we've seen 2 get killed. So they've been fighting folks. And when they're like, "Well, we're gonna go get her," he's like, "No, we'll just follow her." Yeah, that's what all villains usually do. Follow. I don't know why she had such a moment to be an atypical female hero or love interest, and I'm getting there because she's wasting time getting the truth out of Mark when you could have gotten the truth as soon as we got out. She could have gone, "All right, you need to tell me what happened right now. You owe me this." And Mark tells her right now instead of later when they get outside. He tells her, "Yo, um, yeah, my partner got greedy and he killed everybody there. He even killed your dad." And she gets mad and she's like, "So you brought a killer to him? Are we serious? Are you serious? Are you telling me you're mad at him because his friend did it? Not him, his friend?" And he's like, "Yeah, but in case you forgot, I got shot too. I was dying as well until Konshu saved me." And he probably killed his friend, be his friend's butt. Probably killed his friend. Who knows? But yeah. And it's just that whole thing. And then soon as we hear, I heard clicking. But I guess it was Harrow and his men because he had a little scarab that still led him, still needed the scarab. And Mark was ready to fight the clicker people. He grabbed the axe that was sitting on the sarcophagus, the little axe thing that you sometimes see. And Fraser's and Steven can read hieroglyphics, but he still doesn't know what Heka priests are. Anyway, he's ready to fight. And Harrow does the same evil therapist bad guy thing, and I'll tell you why I said therapist, man. He's like, "Oh, you know, I remember the first time when I didn't hear Konshu anymore. I know you don't hear him anymore. Of course you don't know. I know you know because you're an a-hole. You got him sealed. Um, it was liberating. Now you're free. You're free to make a choice. Yeah, I'm free to make a choice, even though you have 2 armed people walking up on me and a third that's right in front of me." And Mark did a great job. Took the gun, killed the guy, killed the other guy, threw the axe meant for Harrow, but ended up killing the other guy. And Harrow takes out this pistol and show you how evil it is. It looks like one of those old Nazi style WW2 pistols, and shot him twice in the chest. And Layla sees and she's all crying. And I'm like, "You caused him to die. This is directly your fault. You don't get to shed any tears. I don't care if you still love him and you love Steven. You don't get to cry because you could have had this conversation outside." This was a moment where we could have had a female lead who killed an evil mummy thing. She did a great job, and she could have been smart and been like, "Yeah, we're gonna go out and have this conversation," and then we could have continued the story there. But no, this was a moment just to get Steven and Mark to die, which they very much do die. Um, Mark is a really good guy in this. He was trying to help Steven. Still loves Layla, obviously, because he's like, don't touch my wife. Punch you in the face with our own fist. And when they're falling into this pool. Now, at first you think that the water's shallow, even though Steven said that you're going to threaten to drown us. And he's like, "I should, but I won't." But they're falling into this water like they're going to abyss, and it's a white light. When they get there, they're in a psych ward. And everyone there are part of people that he has met and that is in his personality. Like the evil Trick Donna. I'm going to say Trick. The one who kept calling him Stevie. She was in there, and she's, bitching and moaning about not getting any O's for bingo. And we see a woman that draws a bird, but has the head of Khonshu. And Mark is sedated in this wheelchair. He tries to get out, but he's tied up to it like Steven was tied up to the bed. And he has a Moon Knight toy. And he tries to talk to Steven in reflection, but there is no Steven there. It's just you, buddy. And Arthur Harrow was the therapist. He had the cane. There's a picture of the Swiss Alps from episode 1. There's all this Egyptian stuff that he just saw already. and to try to make us think that this whole thing was just in his head. Now, what should have been a big tip off for this, and Mark might not be the smartest guy, but what should have been the biggest tip off? Arthur Harrow, the psychiatrist, says the world is not physical, it is psychic. No therapist says that. As somebody that's gone to school for psychology, you never say that it's psychic. That's not what that. It's not where psychology comes from. It does not come from psychic. It made no sense. What could have made sense is when he said, while the world's physical, your perception of things. And he does talk about perception, but I'm like, who talks like this? I digress. And maybe there's some psychiatrists who are watching this that can correct me if I'm wrong. You probably won't, because for some reason people don't know how to comment. Comment if I'm wrong. I dare you. Matter of fact, comment if I'm right. I double dog dare you. Anywho, Mark has been sedated. He's like, well, I told you, there's no one fault but your own. I can't help you if you can't help yourself. That's the last thing that Harrow said as he shot Mark. And Mark he's like, I got to get out of here. And the orderlies come. Of course, one of the orderlies is the white guy cop. And one is a black cop, but it doesn't look like the same woman. It looks like a guy this time, right? But he dispatches these guys. Hit you, bite you, break the door, get out. And he got out. And he runs and he's hiding. As he hides, there's a sarcophagus, and you hear Steven in it. And he opens up, and it's Steven. Steven's wearing this olive grayish shirt. He's wearing all white, of course. And they hug it out. He's like, how is this possible? I don't know. What's the last thing you remember? We got shot. Cool. They run down a hallway. And in this hallway, there's another sarcophagus in another room, but it's standing straight up and it's rattling hard, but there's no voice coming from it. They are teasing this third personality, and this would have been a good time. I don't know why Steven or Mark just didn't go, all right, let's open this up. And the reason why Mark knew all this wasn't real because the room shifted and the light shifted. But then this big being comes up, opens up the door, and there's a hippo. And the hippo, because she goes, hi, and they both scream just like Steven screamed when he met Khonshu the first time. I am pretty sure that this is the god Hathor, the one of harmony and melodies. Could be the only one. They are literally in the afterlife, and they're probably in hell. Maybe half of their soul feels so much guilty that they went to a hellish landscape. Because this seems like hell, but it's probably the afterlife as well. And I touched all the things I want to touch on. I like the fact that they met and they hugged. So good. I think it might have been Oscar Isaac's brother. His full name is Oscar Isaac Hernandez Estrada. And I think the person that got credit for being the stunt double was last name's Hernandez. So it could be his brother, or it could just be just another person that just looks like him whose name is Hernandez. Meh. But good for Mark. Good for Mark. So, I'm going to assume that they're going to rescue Khonshu the next episode as they talk to this hippo god who hopefully isn't super evil and wants to keep them there. Although this hellish landscape where the psychiatrist is your greatest enemy who just killed you. And again, that's why mystical. There was a person who said, I don't see how Moon Knight can be in the Avengers because how can his stories work? When Moon Knight is in the Avengers, has been part of Defenders, has been part of Heroes for Hire, has been part, I said Defenders already, right? Has been in Midnight Suns, which specialize in his type of stories. So take out Midnight Suns, he's been an Avenger. It's kind of obvious when people don't like a character or they don't like a show that they just project it on there. I love Moon Knight. Moon Knight's one of my favorites. I like it. I like street level heroes, and yes, even though the whole split personality thing came later, but he was Batman. He's Moon Batman, and he's pretty cool. I like him. This episode, it's not a 5. It's not a 3 or a 4. I'm gonna give it 3.5 because I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I really want to give it a 4 because I enjoyed myself, but I want to give it a 3 because Layla did some really weird, out of character stuff. And I get it if she hadn't have stalled them there, We wouldn't have gotten Mark dying and then meeting Steven finally face to face for them to hug and all that other stuff. It's just, I could have gone without that. Still could have got shot as they left out, and then, you know, but we'll see what happens. I have been there's been so many changes in the Moon Knight lore, and it pleases me that they kept his beginnings. That is exactly how he began. He had a partner that killed, that went off the rails, shot everybody, and he's like, yeah, no, I can't sit here, I can't die here. And Khonshu saves him and says, yeah, you're my avatar. And then he is the vengeance. He is the fist of Khonshu. A thing I did not mention last episode, his cape did the crescent moon thing where he jumps down and it flattens out to be a crescent moon. That crescent moon's from the comics. I didn't mention that the person, Gaspard, the person who plays a character that would have been the villain Midnighter. I don't know if I mentioned that he died in a skiing accident this year. I probably did, but I don't know if I did. But just in case I didn't, I'm bringing it up now. So, but he kills the character in this episode. I guess they could have done a whole, oh, he actually survived thing, but they'll probably lay the character to rest out of respect for the actor. But yeah, 3.5 wasn't horrible, and it wasn't spectacular. And I don't think giving it a 3 would be fair, but giving it a 4 definitely isn't fair. 4 for my personal likings, I liked it, but if I, criticize and look on the whole, it's a 3.5. But please, let me know what you thought of today's episode of Moon Knight. Again, leave that comment right there in the comment section. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified of more videos just like this. We have 2 more episodes of Moon Knight. We are now officially done with everything that the press people got to watch, which I wish they would stop doing that. Like, I get it. You need people to build hype, but if people don't honestly like it, like one of the people who I've watched, and if you all know who I watch, you know who I'm talking about. These people who don't really know it or don't really like the characters from the comics to begin with, they're going to poop all over it, and people's expectations are going to be all over the place. Just bring it out all at the same time. If you're going to have people watch it, let them watch the first or second episodes, and let us all enjoy the ride together, because I am. Again, don't forget to share the video so others can see what a great time we're having, and I thank you for taking some time out to spend some time with me. Please, be good, be blessed, wash your hands, wear a mask, be safe out there, be good to yourself, be good to others, but never be a jerk, please. And as always, I will definitely see you guys next time.